friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 12 of my 2017 holiday card series. Today I'm going to be using this Bah Humbug stamp set from Lawn Fawn, as well as their Nitpicky pattern paper pad, which has this really great sweater theme. So I've stamped my images on some Copic friendly cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm going to be coloring with my Copic markers today. You'll also see that I stamped 2 of every image, and that's because I'm actually going to be making 2 cards in this video. So I'm only going to be doing some minimal coloring today, and I'm starting out with 1 set of my sheep, and for those I wanted them to be blackface sheep, so I'm using W3, W5, and W7, and I'm coloring darkest to lightest. So I'm doing a little bit of shading around the outside edge of their face where their wool would be casting a shadow, and then on the inside of the ram's horn, and then on their ears and the backs of their legs. And then I'm blending out with the W5, and actually on their feet I'm only using the W7 and the W5 because they're under their body and they would be cast in more shadow because the sun isn't going to hit there. And then I'm just going to blend out the rest of their faces and the ram's horn with the W3. And I felt like there wasn't quite enough contrast for me. I wanted them to look really nice and fluffy, and that means they need more shadow cast on their faces. So I just went on and did a double layer of the W7 and the W5 on their faces and also on the ram's horn. For my second set of sheep, I'm using E93, E95, and E97. And that is just because I like to switch things up. I really don't typically make multiples of the same card. This is something kind of unique for me. You know, like I said in one of my previous videos, I'm a little bit behind on my Christmas cards this year. But at least by switching up the coloring and switching up the pattern papers, I feel like each person is still going to get a unique Christmas card. Of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with making all of your cards exactly the same if that's what you enjoy. For me, there's just too many cute stamps out there on the market to limit myself to just one design. But anyway, I'm doing the same exact process, coloring darkest to lightest and doing a double layer on their faces and the ram's horn. I gave them a rosy cheek with the R20. It didn't show up real well on those lambs, but there's a hint of it there. And I'm not going to be coloring their wool because I'm going to be doing something completely different for that, which we'll get to in a minute. But for now, I'm going to color in the little bows with my favorite red combo, the R29, R39, and R59. So I'm putting the darkest shading on the underside of those loops where the fabric is folded over and also where it's pulled tight for the knot. And then I'm blending out towards the lightest shade on the outside edges and on the tips of the ribbon where they're trimmed. For the little bell, I'm using Y32 and Y26. The Y26 is the darker shade, so I'm using that for my shadow and then blending out with the Y32. For their wool, I'm going to be using this snow marker, which gives them a really cool texture. So I'm just making sure to lay down a good amount. I found that it puffs up better when there's more fluid on the paper. So once I have them completely coated, I'm just going to take them over to my heat gun, and you can watch how that puffs up. It's so cool. And there's a look at all 4 of my sheep looking all woolly. I can't believe I've never used this marker before. It's so much fun. I've trimmed out my pattern papers using the Lawn Fawn stitched oval stackables, and I also trimmed out an extra piece of cheap white cardstock. This is just Georgia Pacific from Walmart, and that just adds a little stability to the back of the pattern paper. Also, you can see I was a little bit short on that other piece of pattern paper, but that's fine. I'm going to completely cover that up with a snowbank using the Lawn Fawn Stitch Hillside Borders, and I'm just adhering that down with some Tombow Mono Multi-Glue, which gives me a little bit of wiggle room to adjust that and make sure it's lined up perfectly with the stitched edge before it sets and dries permanently. Then I'm taking the next largest size in the stitched oval stackables, and I die cut that out of some lobster red cardstock from Lawn Fawn. I'm going to add some liquid glue to the center and then add my focal panels right over top, and that is going to give that really pretty nice pop of red all the way around the outside edge. I'm adding my little sheep to my scene in pretty much the same way. I added the ram on the left and the ewe on the right so that they're facing each other. And I tried to stagger them just a little bit. I put the ewe just a little bit higher up on the hill just to give them a little bit of difference of space there. And then I'm putting the little mistletoe right up above them, and then adding a little dot of glue for the bow, and also right on the U for the bell. And just to keep things a little bit different, I added it to the U on this one, and I added it to the ram on the other one. I trimmed out my pattern papers using the Lawn Fawn outside in stitched rectangles, and that cuts it down to a little bit smaller than a card front, so you have a little bit of a red border all the way around the outside edge, which is going to mimic the red border on our ovals, and tie that in nicely. Because my card base is a darker color, I want to add an insert, and so I'm going to stamp the other sheep as well as the Warm Winter Wishes sentiment with some Lawn Fawn Merman ink. And then I'm going to line up the knitting needles and the little scarf or piece of sweater and just stamp that down right over top so it goes with our whole theme. Now that I have all the pieces of my card ready to go, I can just do the final assembly and add the focal panels to the centers of the card with a little bit more liquid glue. Then I'm going to take a banner that I trimmed out of some Lawn Fawn Mermaid cardstock using the Everyday Banners, and I am going to just glue that down right over top of my card, and that has our outer sentiment that says Feliz Navidad, which I think is so cute and clever. And then I can add our insert to the inside of the card just using a little bit more liquid glue, and then I'll center that so it has that nice red border once again, and that just mimics the outside of the card as well, so it brings everything all together. And that is going to complete our cards for today. I decided not to add any additional embellishments to the outside. I really loved that woolly texture that I got with the snow pen, and I wanted to just leave it simple and let that shine and kind of be the hero of the card. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please give it a big thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. Let me know in the comments which version of this card is your favorite. I'd love to hear. Here's 2 extra cards from day 12 of the previous 2 years of holiday card series, so hopefully those will tide you over until the next one. I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye.